tell you, it was so bad. I just
high
seen a
school,
picture of it
the
today.
quiet thing
I'm
used
like,
to
I'm gonna try to
work,
cover it
and
up
now
and make a stick. I was pulling branches, and it popped and hit me right in the eye. You should be thankful it didn't take my eye out. It could have. My glasses kind of hide it a little bit.
Right.
I just stand up there whispering, like, I'm ready to start.
Do they have lunch right after this? That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
I have to say, I think everybody.
Oh, how fun. That's good for them.
Now, do you have the Clear Touch one, or do you just have a generic one?
The one, the trial.
Oh, yes. Okay. Got it.
And a lot of people are really benefiting from the translation.
Back into reading and into literature were written at the same
Yeah,
time.
y'all had your own
Same
little
set
session.
of your stance is the same?
They did, I did not.
Oh,
because I
you
was with you. I did.
Oh, you presented.
Yes. Instead of units, instead of modules.
Here in
Still the same design behind what you're thinking into reading as far as using notice and notes, text analysis.
And I don't know, like I help Amy
in the same platform.
like I'm not a curriculum, so like I mean I was
If
there,
you're
but
curious
like
about anything into literature, Kathy can
I'm the one
say
directing
on that too. So you can look at it. That's, in fact, that's why I'm going to Virginia for. So. And that's why I was in North Carolina.
All right, our next presenter is here. It is HMH, so we have our next session. I know it's going to let them get started, and then you have a break. So, thank you, everyone. Can you hear me? It's not a microphone for here. It's a microphone for the cameras. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. My name is Kathy Jernigan, and I'm the account executive for Okaloosa County for HMH. So we're very thankful to be here today to share our newest version of Florida Into Reading with you. So without further ado, we have a lot to share. I'm going to turn it over to Angela Wolf. She is a National Content Specialist for HMH.
Nice to meet you. I did all my teaching career over in Clay County and Duval, so Florida teacher right here with Florida Teachers. Glad to be here to share with you this latest version of Into Reading. And I know that I am in between you and lunch, right? And you also get an hour and a half? Wow. Hour and 15 minutes. Okay, all right. You didn't want me to reset that wrong. Okay, you all be back on time now. Let's talk about what you're going to see up front. I know I have a very short time to show you why this is the best selection for Okaloosa. These are the things I just want you to know, check off. You know that we're going to have these things or we would have never made it even to the list for Florida. High quality instructional materials, what you're going to see today. It is very impactful instruction. We have the data, we have the white papers to prove that and show you what we're doing. This is the world's most used program to teach reading. So we have over 4.5 million students every morning learning how to read and love reading using Into Literature across this country. You're going to find that this is a comprehensive solution, so it's everything you need from your reading, your writing, all together in all my learners. Different types of learners, you'll have the access points and the resources. We'll look a little bit at assessment and how that assessment drives the instruction, but this has truly become, this version that we have created was to put teachers at ease of use, to make it streamlined, make it easy to use, and what to find and how to find it very quickly. And that also goes right into that last component, which is teacher support. It's embedded, it's in person, there's so many layers and flavors of how a company that's made out of teachers, we get it. We understand the things you need, so we're always there for you. So the first things that I think of as a former coach and a former teacher in Florida, and especially Duval and Clay, is I really just want to know three things. Number one, what is this if you've never seen it before? Secondly, how does it work? What's it going to look like in my own classroom or my school? And then third, what tools does this program have that are going to have it for me to be able to build the success in all my students? So I want to start with, what is it? Just quick show of hands. Has anyone ever seen Into Reading before? Okay, was it an older version or the new version? I used it a couple years ago. So you're going to see lots of changes, but you're also going to see the continuity of the things that we knew were research-based and how we even delved deeper to make sure that those are streamlined. When you think about the materials, and I just want to touch first up front what you are going to find in the bag so you kind of understand how our program works. When I think about my whole group materials, there are certain pieces that you want to use as a teacher. Now you'll see that over here on the very far left, I have the first grade up there, but that is my teacher's guide. This is what I want you to think about. This is a teacher's guide like we've always had. I'm going to use this when I'm sitting in my seat and I'm actually doing my planning and I'm thinking about where I'm headed, okay? There's another piece, though, that you see second that's called the Teaching Pal. You'll see it referenced all inside the teaching guide. And this is your copy of the student book. So I want to just think about this. I use it when I'm on my feet and I'm doing my shared reading. And then what you see on the very far right is the consumable for the students. And you'll notice it looks identical to your Teaching Pal, except for that it is consumable and we replace it every year. This is what we call our book, it's our My Book, it's a book of books. It's real grade level trade literature that was published first and then we brought it to this program. That is a differentiator. We have always done that at HMH. I started teaching in '92 when it was Houghton Mifflin and we even did it back then. So knowing that I have these three key pieces, a regular old teacher's guide, everything I need in there for planning, I've got the Teaching Pal for when I'm doing shared reading, and then of course my students have their book as well. Now everything is online, so that student book is online as well. For our primary grades, we also embrace what I saw earlier that you guys had from the person right in here before me. We want our kiddos to have that great engagement in the primary grades, so you're going to find multiple big books and trade books. You know, take a picture of those numbers up there. I'd like for you to compare that to what you're reviewing to use in your classrooms. But these are beautiful trade pieces that we know kids love. Some of us may look at those and already know one of those that you used in your own classroom. When we still think about whole groups, so I'm just kind of introducing you to some of the things you're going to see me talk about. This program includes a card kit for my K2 teachers. You're going to have all your sound wall cards, your phonemes. Of course, because everything's online as well, you have articulation videos. It's not looking very pretty up there, but it is back there. But you can see that the articulation videos for all 44 phonemes. And then vocabulary cards. Those vocabulary cards are research-based with a nice routine on the back for discussion, and so every teacher has those as well to use in the classroom. Now, if I move into some of the materials you're going to see me talk about just for small group, look what you see up there. One, I already have one here. We'll talk about these. These are our tabletop lessons. Every teacher gets these real things. They said online, but you get these. And then you'll also see that we have decodable readers. I want you to notice what grade they go to. That is a differentiator. And then also we have HMH readers, which are for reteaching skills, but also challenging students. So that if I need to stretch a student, I can do that with different types of project-based learning and research. Now let's think about what I said. This is a comprehensive solution, so it's everything I need. So when I think of Tier 1, I got to have practice. You're going to find that we have practice workbooks. We call it a Know It, Show It, but the Know It, Show It is very robust. We'll look at that. We have a Florida assessment prep book that you'll be able to utilize. Tier 2, every week I have selections that I can target those kids that are around a year to a year and a half below, and it's aligned with the scope and sequence, so I know I'm teaching and touching on the same skills. A very robust kit called Tier 3 Word Studio. We'll look at that as well. Every teacher has that online. But I want you to notice what's in the very bottom right corner. We know that one of the things that's an engagement component for students is being able to play games, but I'm still working with my skills. Every K-5 student will have access, and you as teacher as well, to our powerful solution called Waggle. It sits inside of Ed, and that is a personalized path that we'll see in a minute, so that every student can close gaps and also be stretched. And that is called Waggle. It's a part of this solution. You know, everything I've shown you, all sits online. Every single component of this program sits online. And like I said, this is a company made of teachers. You don't just have access to one grade. If I'm a second grade teacher, I have access to everything from kindergarten to 5th grade. You just click on that drop down and you'll be able to access that content. And Kathy wanted me to make sure, so that Kathy, your AE, is that when you guys are going online and you are reviewing, I always say this, but you guys take a picture of this. I know you're going to go to lunch. When you come back and you're going to review things this afternoon or later today, click on Discover. Discover is where you find all the content, and then you just click on that little drop down to choose from each grade. Okay? All right, so first off, I showed you was, what is it? You know, it's a comprehensive solution. I have everything I need for whole group, small group, and intervention. Now it's more about, okay, what's it going to look like in my classroom? You know, what does it look like in my world? Let's look at that. First off is to think about the design. You know, when you look at it, it is in that actual module. Some people think old school, we would say units, even down in the primary grades, but this is a module, and every module, huge. It's a text set. That is how we've designed this. Notice that kindergarten has 9, there's 4 weeks, but when I move into grades 1 through 5, you know, I put that bubble on there, 10 plus 2. Why in the world did Angela do that? Because there are 10 core modules for you to teach your standards. But we give you a bonus of 2 more. The last 2 modules that are optional are genre studies. One of them is on fiction, one of them is on nonfiction. Again, those are optional. Shortened time period when you move to grades 1 through 5, but again, the same design, 5 lessons a week. So a day of instruction is a lesson. Something that HMH has been known for years. Notice in the center, all my pillars of instruction, they're color-coded. We always have used a color-coding scheme to make it, again, easy for teachers to find what they're doing and what resources align with those pillars of instruction. Now, I said text set. We're looking at one example over to the right of the selections. This is from 2nd grade, but every grade, every module is built and designed around different genres of text that are all connected through a theme and an essential question. And even the task at the end, everything kind of wraps together around the theme and the actual, lost my train of thought there, the theme itself and the essential question. So let's think about Florida. I am in Florida. What am I going to have? Every week, everything in this program is tagged by your standards. Every single component is tagged when we're online in ed. But for you, tactile-wise, you'll have right there in your teacher's guide, every week I will be able to see exactly what Florida Best Standards that I'm actually addressing at the weekly level. And again, notice the color coding, how I know when I'm teaching foundational skills or word study in grades 3 through 5, when I'm working with reading and vocab, I'll see that blue color, and writing and grammar, we teach it every day, that's also going to be distinctly, it'll be green every day that I'm working with those pages, okay? Now, Kathy told me you guys are 90-minute block, right? Okay, so we even differentiate that for you. If you're a K2 teacher, you can see that's my pacing. You know, we want to make it realistic. And we really delve deep into this during professional learning, that in-person time where we come in and get you started, because we know that you've got to make sure everything matches what you're doing in your classroom. Notice down in grades 3 through 5, though, we shift that a little bit because we know that the need is a little different when we move into the upper grades. But I do want you to point out this out. Look what you see. The purple, we teach foundational skills at every grade. We don't drop it at grades K2. It continues. And in a minute, we'll even see how the research continues up into grades 3 through 5. So it's not just labeled. I mean, I hate saying that, but all of us are teachers. When you dig through things, look to see, is it just labeled or is it really following the research? That's a big differentiator, and this program from the onset has been following the latest best practices and research-based instruction. So speaking of that, let's talk about K2. Let's talk about the first pillar, the purple. You know, what's going to happen in that classroom? This is the design that we developed in 2023. If you're familiar with UFly, I think all of us are, UFly came out in 2023. This is based on the latest evidence-based practices. It is 100% aligned with best practices from letters. If you're an OG or Orton Gillingham teacher, you're going to see all throughout those visual, auditory, tactile directives for the teacher as well. But here's where I, as a former reading coach, really see a piece that speaks volumes to what we've done. Yes, we're starting off with sound work. That's exactly what Dr. Moat says we should be doing. But I also want you to notice what's happening here. This is highly structured language. It's I do, we do, you do, and it actually scripts or it actually structures out what that teacher needs to say. If I'm a veteran teacher, I'm going to look at that and adjust accordingly. But how many of us have brand new teachers that need a little bit more support? So that I know those children in that class are going to get what they need, it is actually scripted out for them to get that support. So if you think about it, it's like embedded professional learning every day, helping them along the way. So as we begin with the sound work, then we're going to move into and teach a skill. In this case, digraph SH. I have things like the articulation videos, my sound wall cards, everything to build those sound walls in the classroom, in your vowel valleys. I did want to point out down at the bottom, I highlighted it, there's one of those OG approaches or Orton-Gillingham approaches, visual, auditory, tactile to really seal that learning. Now after I've taught the skill, I've got to practice it with some blending. If that new teacher doesn't know the routine, all the routines are connected right there for the teacher so they can see that routine. Even that is highly structured out to assist with how do you actually teach this with students or use this with students. Now when I think about handwriting, we have embedded that into our scope and sequence for our foundational skills. And that includes manuscript, and as we move into second grade, that shifts over into cursive handwriting. But I always point this out. If I've got a fifth grade teacher in here, how many of you have a fifth grade student who still does not know how to write in cursive, right? You have access to every grade. So you just dip down to second grade and pull all that practice, and you're able to use that with even a fifth grade student. Spelling is taught within the foundational skills scope and sequence. Okay, that's huge. That is following our research that we know our brains, our human brains need to be following when we're learning how to read. And that's just one of our tools there. That's our blending board that you have access to use with your students when you're working with the lessons. Heart word methodology for irregular words, and now you have all the cards, you have everything you need for that. And then I want you to see what's over on the right-hand side. Every week, whole group, I have decodable passages that match what I'm teaching. So that child is going to feel successful because I have touched every single one of those words on there multiple times so that they're going to feel that success. 2 passages a week are already printed for you. They're in the workbook, so I don't have to worry about printing them. They're here. But that's the first layer. That's whole group. But now when I'm ready to go to small group, I have another tool that you saw earlier. Remember we looked at small group tools. These are the decodable readers. I don't have one to hold up. I wish I did to show you the front cover and the back cover. So if you look through your resources, definitely look at the front and the back cover. These do more than just decode. They are 100% aligned with our scope and sequence. But they also, just like HMH has always done, we snuck in a little bit of comprehension and some building background knowledge. Even those items are built into these. Look at the numbers. They come in 6-packs. They also are sitting online. They're also in a PDF format, so if you want to print them out in that, how we used to do years ago, Ziploc bag, put the little black and white decodables in there, you can do it that route as well. I see some smiles on that one. We might still be doing it. That's the tactile that our students still need. I'm old. I believe in tactile experiences. But this is, again, another place where HMH really looked at the research, y'all. We continue it. We just call it something different. We call it word study. But you see the purple. This is the same cadence. Same cadence. I'm going to begin with review with my students. After I do my review with my students, then I'm going to move in and teach a skill. Notice again how it's structured, aka it's highly structured, scripted for that teacher that doesn't have the background knowledge, if they need a little help. And then from there, I'm going to continue with my spelling being aligned to my foundational skills, even in grades 3 through 5. And then also my fluency practice. I'm not going to pull out a decodable with grades 3 through 5 for fluency practice. I'm going to have the passages that I need for my students to practice so that we can look at what we know as the multidimensional fluency scale, those different things that we know that are parts of when we're teaching fluency to our students. So that's the first layer. If you think about that first pillar, we've looked at foundational skills. You're teaching it every day. Now we're going to move in and talk about what we've done across the grades to really delve into building knowledge. You can't just build knowledge with 2-page spreads. You've got to build knowledge with a text set. pieces and parts that are connected together around a theme and around an essential question. We are teaching this and working with building knowledge every single day. And in fact, I held up that tool that you're going to find that in, and that's inside this book. Because when I'm teaching and I'm reading with my students, you'll see in a minute, there's all kinds of support pieces in there for building knowledge every day. But here's where it really is showing you the difference. We're following a trajectory, if you will, from kindergarten all the way across. And I'll back that up. Somebody wanted to take a picture of it. Notice that. If I'm working with animals in kindergarten, I'm going to continue building that knowledge as I move into first grade and to second grade. And then as I move on into third grade, I'm deepening the knowledge along the way. And this is always going to be through the lens of science, social studies, and language arts. So think of that as you think about that text set. That's how we group those selections of text together. And then my favorite part to share. In fact, I have to tell you, I've been working with companies so long when we booked this thing, they actually took my words and put it up on that screen. I call this a book of books. The reason why is because I can show you right here, every single one of these books are inside of our books. We didn't just put in here contrived text. We didn't put in here 2-page passages. This is real trade literature that we got the rights to so that we could put these inside of the Student My Book. Even down to the degree of the same font that's in the book, that if you pulled it off the shelf, the same visuals. So definitely dig into this. This is not a basal. This is grade level literature that was published first, and then we brought this in and put it into those text sets so that you can build the knowledge with your students. And of course your reading skills as well. It's a big difference for us, okay? Knowing that I have published text that I'm putting in front of my students. And I think all of us know that's also engagement as well. I have to put this in here, because as a reading coach, I just love sharing this. When I'm trying to build my kids to be ready for 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, they have got to have some stamina, right? Can't do it if I just read 2-page spreads every single day. This is one piece from 4th grade. When those students are reading this, they are doing more than just 2 pages every time we're working on a story. This is one piece. This is one piece out of several that they're going to be looking at that particular week. This is how you build stamina. And as you look through, you will notice that there'll be a longer piece and then a shorter piece, and then a longer piece and a shorter piece. That's based on human research on our brains. That's what we need. Stretch a little bit, pull back, stretch a little bit, pull back. So really a lot of research went into how we developed this to be able to build the stamina and build the knowledge. I always ask questions to you guys. You can give me some head nods. Who loves teaching vocabulary to your kiddos? Yes, I know. And so what we're doing is not only are we teaching the critical vocabulary for our students, you're going to see that it breaks it down even to a language objective. There's those cards that I can use for some discussions in the classroom. But again, I want to point out how deep this goes. I need to stretch students, and I really need to make sure they know the academic vocabulary so they're ready for a high-stakes exam. So yes, I'm going to work with big idea words and critical vocabulary. I'm going to have vocabulary strategies I focus on every week. But here's the other part that you'll see every single day. When I'm looking at those different color pages, I'm also every day touching on the instructional vocabulary with my students as well. That's a game changer. That way, when they are ready to have that assessment, they've already been exposed to these terms all throughout the year. And you see down at the bottom one of our anchor charts, hundreds of anchor charts online. It just so happens that one has to work with Dr. Kylie Beers and Notice and Note. Again, another one of our anchor charts. This would be me I'm sitting at my seat right now, I'm using my teacher's guide, and I'm sitting down and planning things out. And you notice what I circled up there where it says Teaching Pal. That's letting me know that when I'm ready to do shared reading, pull this baby out, and this is what I'm going to use while my students are using their consumable. The difference, though, is this, and I can hold it up, but you guys can see it on the screen as well. That is the fact that all throughout you have color-coded sticky notes. They're not real sticky notes, but they look like a sticky note. And these sticky notes in here have your DOK level. They're going to be everything from building knowledge every day, as you can see on the screen, to work with first read, second read questions, questions that deal with vocabulary. But all of those are here right in your teaching pal to kind of guide that time that you're doing the instruction, the shared reading instruction with your students. Now, you heard me mention Kylie Beers. We know, God bless her, she's not with us anymore. I'm one of her biggest cheerleaders, but she helped us write this solution. So every single one of your pages that you're going through and you're reading those selections, Kylie and Bob built in their notice and note strategies. Now, if you don't know notice and note, guess what? You don't have to. Just read the questions and you can see the questions themselves get the kids into deep text analysis, which is what we really need so that they can be successful on exams. But again, I wanted to give tribute to knowing that our authors touched every page to give you that support. Now, if your kindergarten teachers are going to ask you, well, where's mine? Well, you know, you've got the student book, and then you've got this teaching pal. What about me in kindergarten? And in kindergarten, the teachers are using big books and trade books. But we did do the same design for them, but we made it smart for them. It's called a book stick. So on the book stick itself, you have the same design. So when I have shared reading, I have my questions right here at my fingertips. So I know which questions I have that are DOK 1, DOK 2, 3. And then I always laugh, hopefully you'll laugh with me. If you've ever taught kindergarten and first grade, we are now honoring them so they do not have to read upside down. Because the book, y'all, come on now, that was fun. On the back, it's right there for them. Because how many of us have put our stickies all throughout, and while we're reading, we're looking at our stickies upside down. So again, you've got just a lot of thought that went into our solution, and you can tell that it was built by people who were teachers. You see how we're building the readers. Now let's connect it to the writing. You cannot break those two apart. Within every module, you will receive what we call a focal or a mentor text. That's how you kick off your writing module. The kids are going to be writing in response to reading all throughout. Writing in response to reading is one type of writing. This is process writing. So every module you focus in on a genre and you walk through the steps of the writing process. You also will see that we teach grammar within, and we do it every single day, beginning in kindergarten. So when I am looking at kindergarten, there's some things that we really embrace that research has told us. Number one, you can't start kids at the beginning of the year and expect them to write a paper in kindergarten, right? Won't happen. So we have to embrace what we know about kinders, and that is, let's start with oral and emerging writing. And then notice by the end of those bullets there, by the time we're around halfway through the year, we do want our kids to be working through the writing process, even in kindergarten. But again, we're taking them through those, what we would know as those stages of writing that are going to help them build their skills and be successful. So again, a lot of work went in there to really embrace what we know happens in a kindergarten classroom. I like this because I used to love teaching grammar because my kids needed it. I will tell you that every day you're teaching grammar. Every one of these lessons are, again, highly structured for the teacher. And then my favorite part is this formative piece. Every single day there is a question there for you to have those kids, whether they do it online, on a board, on a piece of paper, however you want to do it. I will know when I get to small group, did they understand what I taught them about adjectives? So every day you have that little formative check along the way. That's just one layer of support that you have in here. 3 through 5 teachers, huge. Write down the word writable, put a big heart around it. Every student in grades 3 through 5 receive our writable. What is it? It is every task in our program. It is online, so kids can do that writing online. The book always opens on the left, and on the right will be the actual task, okay? Lots of tools in here that help. It will read things to them if needed. You turn that on or off, but this is what you want. You want practice, right? So you have practice for best and fast sitting inside of writable for grades 3 through 5. Notice the types of assignments. Single assignments, also text sets assignments. That matches what HMH does. We teach every module with a text set. So that's another way we're getting our kids ready for high stakes writing. The rubrics also express what we know teachers need. Yes, you have the holistic rubric, but we also broke it down into an actual detailed rubric so you can pick and choose how you want to use these when you're teaching writing online. Every child, every teacher, grades 3 through 5, gets Writable. So it's won so many awards, and it is just a part of Ed. It sits inside of our platform Ed. It is our writing platform. 3 things that you get. You get all the HMH content. You get all that FCAT, well, you can tell I'm dated, all your best and your data, all your high stakes exams, your practice. But look at the second bullet. 1,000 more writing prompts and activities. And then the third one, this is the part that I really love sharing with you, is that we have embedded AI throughout it on your side, and it will help you create writing pieces, whatever you want, from an essay to a book study. Think about stretching your kids. How many of us want lit circles with our kids? This will allow you to do it, and the AI assists along the way. You know, I'll talk a little bit more about AI because there's something very important to know about what HMH has done with that. But knowing that I have that AI built right in for me, it's a game changer. It really is. And then this is the part I love. This is the hardest thing for teachers to learn how to teach, and that is to teach writing. And how do you score it correctly? The AI will actually draft score every single paper, whether HMH wrote it, whether you wrote it, whether it was inside a Writable, anything your kids do. It will draft score it and also provide AI feedback. Notice in that AI feedback, I can't point with my pointer, but I'll come over here and be rude and point. Do you see the little icon of the pencil? Every single component of anything in Writable is editable. If you don't like the way we wrote it, rewrite it. If you don't like the way that AI looks, tweak it before you send it to the students. I like to think of this as, again, another layer of professional learning, because if that new teacher doesn't know exactly how to give that feedback, that's giving that teacher an idea, because the AI is looking at the rubric, the paper, how you wanted it scored, and providing you a summary of some things you might want to say to the student. But just, again, know you're always in control of your ship. You can go in and adjust anything in here. If you use slide decks every day, we provide those for you. They're already matched for the day's instruction. You have them 2 pathways. You either have a regular old, like we would use for years, a PowerPoint, but then you also have them what we call interactive presentations. That is where if your students are on those one-to-one devices, it actually interacts with the students. They're answering questions. Here's the one everybody across the country loves when I tell them this. You can shut down their screens. Okay, it has in there a student picker. It has ways to group students. So multiple tools that are in there. And again, you get to choose. How do you want to use these? Maybe you have one day you just want to use it as a slide deck. You can do that. And maybe another day the kids get their devices out. And as you can see, they can answer questions, and all of that data, formative data from every day, goes into my reports. So again, letting me see how my students are doing with their strategies. Now, I mentioned AI, this is huge. Please write down in your notes ZDR, okay? Why I'm telling you that. I work all across this country. People use Copilot, they use Gemini, they use Magic School. What HMH has done, we actually sit on the board for K-12 best practices with AI. Everything is using OpenAI, but the difference is HMH has actually basically, think of it as we built a wall. We're using the AI so that you'll be able to build things right inside of Ed, but whatever you build does not go back out. Does that make sense? We're not training the model of the AI, or I like to call it the AI brain. So that's one thing to know. The second one is what you see down that bottom bullet. This is what it looks like. Today when you go into Ed, you'll see there's a little button at the top that says AI Tools. You'll have different tools that you can use, from creating presentations, newsletters, translate text if you've got English learners. All of these tools sit inside of our AI tools. Here's the difference from using this or using Gemini. Every one of these tools are already aligned to the HMH scope and sequence. All you have to do is go in and say, I'm teaching 3rd grade, I'm teaching Module 3, and this is the week I'm teaching, here's the selection I'm teaching, and you can go in and build Sky's the Limit. I always like to give you ideas about this. You know, what could I do? Well, what if you have a 3-day week? What if we have a hurricane week and you've got to shorten the lessons? It will do that for me. It knows I'm using Into Reading, and it will tweak it according to what I need. Maybe I need WIDA strategies. I need to align it to a WIDA standard. Or maybe I have an autistic student and I need nonverbal strategies. I tell the assist, it builds it for me. It is a game changer because, again, it's not working for you, it's working with you, and it's really giving you what you need to be able to tweak things to really close gaps in students and to build success. So what do you have? I've shown you a couple of the tools, but let's point out a few things. When we built this iteration, we made sure that from the onset we were looking at the Florida's formula of reading success, which, again, geeking me out as a reading teacher. I love it. If you look behind that, though, every single week at every grade, we've already written lesson plans. They're done. They already have the standards in there, and teachers can edit them. Okay, they just download them. They're in Word documents. So again, ease of use, because the plan is already ready for me. My PowerPoints and my presentations are already ready for me. But then when you start thinking about differentiating, when we look at that curve up there, I've got students from 2 years and below, but then also I've got a lot of kids that are at the above level. How am I going to stretch students? This is where I want to show you some of these tools. Let's think tiers. First tier, that's the workbook. So here it is. I've got that know it, show it. Every kid gets these. They're at every grade. And you can see the different things that they're going to approach and giving me that practice for the whole class. Then I move in and think about the readers. Now y'all visualize, I don't have one to hold up, but it's traditionally like a 6-pack. They're online, they're in print, and they have an individual teaching guide with each title. 50-50 in titles of genre, fiction, nonfiction, and then here's where you're going to stretch students. I can either reteach a skill with it, or I can stretch a student because they have project-based learning with them, they have advanced writing activities, so lots of things I can do to support that. I've got inquiry reports, K through 5. That's where I'm going to stretch my kiddos. I'm going to stretch them. And then I showed you a little bit about these. Every teacher gets them. We call them the tabletop mini lessons, one of the most popular items in this solution. And these come to every teacher. If you're looking at the screen, the front side is what the students see. The one on the left, that is for actually teaching a skill for reading. It can be used with any book. It is not tied to an HMH title. So if that child brought a book from home that the parent bought them and you notice they're having problems with summarizing, you could sit down with the student and use this tool with them. It's agnostic. The one on the right, that's for my English learners. So if you have that high population of that, I know in many places that I go, we have that happening. This is going to focus in on vocabulary. And it's also going to focus in on speaking and listening skills, getting my kids to talk, because we know that's so important when we're working with our English learners. And again, as the teacher, everything I need is on the back side of this as I'm working with my students. Okay? Many places that I've gone, teachers get this light bulb moment. They go, oh gosh, I could use that with all my students too, for a small group. But it is designed specifically to really work with speaking and listening and vocabulary with our Ls. I mentioned this one earlier when we looked at an overview of our resources. This is called the Read and Respond Journal. Again, another piece for me to have for my Tier 2. It's digital, it's print. I'm not using this with all my students. It's aligned every week so that I have lower pieces of text to address the kids that need that text. It is not something I would use with every student. This is called the Studio. This afternoon, as you guys review this, you will want to see this. This piece has over 250 lessons in it. It's screening, diagnostic, progress monitoring. Every component from concepts of print down to Greek and Latin roots are in here. And every lesson is gradual release model of instruction, and anything you need is tied into that PDF. So it makes it easy for a teacher to use these resources with either a Tier 2 or a Tier 3 student. Let's think multilingual. The color that we use for that is magenta. So you'll see that all throughout the teacher's guide. We write PowerPoints for you to use every single week with those students. You heard me mention earlier, the writable for grades 3 through 5. Writable itself has practice in there for access. So if I've got students who need that, if I want my students to write in Spanish in 3-5, they can. So lots of tools in there to support Ls. And then at the very top, don't forget you have those AI tools, and it actually will do translations. I have done everything from Russian, you name it. I've tried it, and it will do it. And I even told it, after it translated it, I said, don't translate, transadapt it. it did it. So check it out and see. It's a powerful tool. It sits right inside of Writable. Letters to go home to those parents as well. This one every kid gets. This is the personalized path. Kids learn, practice, and play based on their level. You can either set it up for the scope and sequence from the grade level, or if you have data that you use from another solution, maybe state data, however you want to use your data, you can use that to place your students appropriately. Again, another piece that supports the L's because everything in here is in English and in Spanish. The kids love it because they get to get tokens, they get to build an avatar, and then all of you, you're going to love it because if you know Hattie's work, these are the things we built Waggle around, is to make sure that we're hitting those top levels of how I can get the most bang for my buck, basically, when I'm teaching. So you'll see that throughout. Again, every student, every year of this adoption, you are going to have that. Your assessments have come print and digital. You're going to, of course, have formative, and you're going to have your summative. Oh, I see a couple people wanting to grab a screenshot of that. Just know they're editable, both print and digital. And then, of course, also knowing that I have such a plethora of those assessments, including performance tasks and teacher observations. This, for my grades 3 through 5 teachers, is fairly important because I want my kids to, in their module assessments, to see the same kind of questions that they're going to see on their assessments. And then all of that data goes into our reports. You have assessment reports, standards reports, growth reports, activity reports. All the Waggle data goes in and ties to your standards as well. So you know every layer that you're using with the HMH program, it's helping you see that in your data. You can even group your kids or have Ed group them for you. We do have that access for best practice, that if I want my students to be working with paper tactile experiences, we do have that workbook as well. But it is, again, it's about what this company has done. We're a company of teachers. We know you've got to have teacher support from day 1 to 180. These are just a couple of things that I've pointed out along the way. But one of those things that is so powerful is what we call Teacher's Corner. Please, when you go this afternoon and you're reviewing Ed, yes, Discover is important. That's where all your content is. But if you scoot over to the right, you'll see AI tools, and then you see Teacher's Corner. Teacher's Corner is so powerful because every month we have live events. They're absolutely free. If you can't make it, you get the recording. We have teachers that are building things, and we vet it. It's not like going to TPT. This is something that teacher built it, and then we looked at it to make sure it's aligned with our curriculum and it is correct. And it's free. So we're always building. And then, of course, Kathy in the back of the room is a part of what we do with that year-round support. She's your account executive. Then we have a custom service manager that comes in. We look at your data. We look at how everything is working. Is everything the way it's supposed to be? We even have the opportunity to come in and look at your data along the year and see where I may have a gap, where we need to maybe tighten something up. All of that is just a part of what we do at HMH. So what makes us unique is up on that screen. Y'all grab a screenshot of that. That's what I want you to look at as I close out. I've pointed out some of these things along the way, but truly knowing that I have the tools I need to streamline the instruction. And when we say that, we even gave you a little placemat that shows you, I'm going to borrow yours, can I? It shows you all the different pieces and parts and how all of these things fit together. Again, really making it easy for any teacher to be able to have that success in the classroom. So I'm going to turn it over to Kathy. I know I talked a little over, but I could talk all day. And you have lunch.
Any questions that we can answer at this time?
There's one over here.
I have one in a meeting for you guys. So you said that the Waggle, the digital platform, was fully included for every student, but on this placemat, it's got the double star, so it's an optional resource.
Because it's for Florida, we automatically give it to you.
Okay.
So, yep.
So that's not something that
It's not extra.
Purchase.
Yep, it's part of the Florida packages.
We did have a question about Miro, which is another program we have. I'm going to let Angela just give 1 minute on Miro and what it does. But the reason we didn't talk about it today is because everything that you did see today comes with the basic package. And that's what we've been asked to talk about everywhere we go. What do I get with the basic package? That's everything she talked about today. Miro is in some of our packages. But it is a little bit extra cost to get that, to add it to our basic package. But Angela can tell you a little bit about Amira and how amazing it is.
She only gave me 1 minute. So first off, just go to Google and type in, and you'll see the powerhouse of people. Even inside of our program, you'll see that there's references even in your paperwork about what she does. Here's what she does. She reads with your kids. She tests your kids. Every single time that child reads with the avatar, if you will, and they love her, she's gathering data. She does something our human brain cannot do. She takes the verbal speech that the student gives her, breaks it down to the phoneme, grapheme level, plots it on a scope and sequence, uses red light, green light, yellow light methodology. And I can pull up that scope and sequence and see Lily has tried to say short A 18 times. 16 times she did it incorrectly. That would be red, and I would know immediately. Click on that block, and it pulls up all my Into Reading resources that would help me teach short A to Lily. That's the game changer. It closes gaps. And then I am going to tell you, if that's something you're interested in, you will have to find the token person at your school who will dress up as Amira, because when they go in and you're creating that success for your students, I officially have done this before in North Carolina. I know what it looks like and feels like to be Beyonce. The kids love Amira. They love reading with her. So it is a part of our solution, and like Kathy said, it's a little bit more, but it's an option. Any other questions?
Assessments. Assessments, can they be moved around? Questions moved around?
Yes, you can.
Take
Yep.
questions out,
Yep.
printable.
Basically, the way it works online is it's basically, if you think of it, it's like a pool of all the questions from every single assessment. And then as a teacher, I can go in and pick and pull, or as a coach, and then I can push that test out across our platform ed. So work harder, not smarter. Or work smarter, not harder. Is that right? The opposite. You don't have to work harder, you work smarter. Yes, yeah. If you get up into the upper grades, you're going to see that it's like The Secret Garden. It's a chapter out of The Secret Garden. It can't be the whole chapter book. But everything that you see in here, I always love to share. Like for me, I taught third grade quite a few years. I loved Farmer Will and his garden, and it's page for page the exact same book in third grade. But again, just a really great, look through these so you can see how it is real trade literature. Yeah.
And your sample bags do have a copy of the student iBook and their workbook and.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So kindergarten, they don't get the My Book, they just have the read. Is that what I?
Great question. Because we're teaching them with big books and trade books, they do have a My Book. The difference, though, is their My Book is like a response journal, and it's going to have practice pages in there for responding to the reading, writing, and grammar. So everything that I would need, but just think of it as like a response journal. I'm glad you asked that. Any other questions?
This is probably stupid, but the sticky note that goes in the back of that, is that something that they get every year at because I can just, it's already been,
Yeah.
it's gonna get messed up, it's gonna come off. Is that a replenishable thing?
You get a big stack of these. I always laugh and say it's 3M sticky, so it is pretty good about staying on here. But when I train teachers in the summer, I even bring it with me. Clear packing tape, honey. Put that on the back of it, and it's set, because there's nothing on the back of it.
That one's been in the back of my car.
Yeah. And if for some reason it fell off with this packing tape, every one of these sit online in Ed, and then you can just download it and print it again. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, 1 o'clock is the next, so you can get here a little bit before. Enjoy your lunch time break.
Have a fun lunch. Hour and 15 minutes, right?